Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a different day than we usually broadcast, but welcome back once again to the Collegiate Star League's League of Legends Spring Season Playoffs. My name is Reed Rapid Melton. Joining me once again, as
Hello,
always,
ladies and
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
Well, that was my that was myself.
Oh,
I apologies for that, but also is Joshua Fekez Quest. What's up, man?
it's good. A little bit odd for a Saturday, like you said, but I'd rather be nowhere else than on a 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, anyway. So no worries here. And yeah, RMU versus Concordia, I believe. Both of them pretty big schools as the round of 16 coming into this game. And Robert Morris University, they're 13-0. They have yet to be defeated. And in fact, I don't think they've lost a game. I know they haven't even lost a game in the playoff brackets as of today.
Yeah, that's true. Anytime I think of that, it always just sort of harkens back to the scene with Jesse Pinkman,
Right.
where he's like he can't keep getting away with it, and it's like for RMU, it sort of seems that way. They are one of the strongest teams that we have in the CSL this season, and when we were doing our prediction show a while back. The quad, definitely one of the teams that several people mentioned could make it all the way to the playoffs. We've got Master Tier, Diamond Tier, and more tiers from the losing team at the end of today's games, but we'll see which one that is as Robert Morris University take on Concordia. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into picks and bans, and I'll update those score lines in just a second as we go ahead and start this off.
Yeah, Fizz being the first one banned out, as well as Zillion on the other side. That is Turb and Cyanotic. It was RMU on the blue side and Concordia on the purple side. So taking away a little bit of I guess a little bit of burst potential on the from RMU and Zillion. Of course, he's pretty known for his big AOE stun, so not going to deal with that. Also, easy to reset a fight whenever you are Zillion, able to use the Chrono Shift onto any of your allies who's in trouble and really give pretty much give the enemy 6 targets to shoot. It's pretty annoying if you're playing against Zillion. But Lucian and Gangplank are the other two banned out. Trundle going to be the last one to round it out for RMU, not wanting to deal with the flex pick that Trundle offers. And see what they have to go with the strategy here. Gragas also banned out, so that is a pretty big jungler taken away from RMU as a first pick. But they're going to hover over Poppy and lock that one in first.
They certainly are, Fekez. And with the Poppy pick, the biggest thing to watch out for Poppy is Trundle. Because Poppy, when she gets low, she gets doubles her passive bonus defensive stats, and Trundle just hits you with his subjugate, and you pretty much die. Trundle, a big bane to a lot of tanks. We saw that banned out there by RMU, so no surprise to see that gone ahead and picking up the Poppy pick. Really, really good. I'm still really unnerved by those bright neon purple pink eyes. I'm not sure what's going on with there. Poppy needs to get some sleep or lay off the extra stuff. But in
Well,
response, there's the Maokai pick up there, so should just have a tank off.
I was gonna say Poppy. I mean, it's a battle hardened. I guess I don't know if we've really come to a consensus as a Yordle. I think it is. You say a Megling, I think, or no? Tristana's a
Well,
Megling.
okay. I believe back in the day she used to be because Tristana and Poppy are both the same species. But then once
Right.
we decided Meglings didn't exist anymore, they all became Yordles, and now I can
Uh-huh.
hate them all equally.
Well, the thing about Poppy is she's battle hardened. She goes into battle head first. Chances are she has a battle cocktail inside of her, which is to turn her eyes all crazy. You've probably seen that in either DC or Marvel comics. Why not bring it to the Rift as well? But what we're gonna bring to the Rift from Concordia is Karma and Maokai. So we're gonna have and Karma technically is a flex pick too. We've been seeing a little bit in the LCS and even the LCK, bringing the Karma mid. We don't know if that's gonna be a Karma mid or a Karma support. We'll have to see what Concordia brings else brings out in the other champions here, but right now it is a flex pick, not giving too much away.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to underestimate this Maokai pick. We had guys like Saint Vicious plays only support Maokai all the way to Challenger, and we've actually seen that pop up in solo queue in Korea as well. I'm thinking it's gonna be top lane Maokai, but this Karma pick has been shown in a few different lanes. Gank by Mom ran Karma mid lane in NALCS, and now we're starting to see that come up here. Possibly a top lane pick. Bruiser Karma's a really big thing now, thanks to the buff to her shield, and just
Yeah.
really being able to kite out tanks, at least early on. Probably going to be that mid lane Karma with a top lane Maokai, and we should see a duo lane locked in here. Could also be support Karma, although that's not as much of a thing.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that Concordia is doing. Like I said, they're not giving too much away, but they do lock in more than likely a Kindred jungle. I couldn't imagine Kindred going anywhere else, especially with the Maokai, more likely going top lane. So they only have either support or mid, and they're waiting to see what RMU picks to see if they can flex that Karma into the mid or put them into the bot lane. Very nice strategy from Concordia to wait out, see what RMU picks here. They know the top lane, they know their support and ADC and Morgana and Severe. They have a jungler and a mid lane to pick out, and that gives RMU the option to counter pick in the mid lane now.
Yep, and that mid lane counter pick, it's always been a really big deal, so you don't want to underestimate that. And at least for right now, the mid lane pick's still open. You don't know exactly what to expect there. Probably going to be a Karma, and what do you run into a Karma? Well, one option is to send that Morgana pick mid lane. We've seen that become maybe increasingly common, but with that Xerath locked in, that's where it's going to go. And kind of interesting to see the Xerath pick here, because anytime you're running a Karma, you've got an AoE move speed, speed up, and so that's why I like to see the Sivir taken away, so you don't have just tons of that. But especially if they go with this Janna last pick, which has actually been first picked by many teams. Immortals is a poster child of first picking the Janna. It means that you're going for a higher support roster. So you've got Maokai, who can make everybody a lot tankier thanks to the damage reduction. You've got AoE shields, single target shields, a lot of move speed, and so this is going to be kind of the front line of Maokai. And probably Karma is going to run in, and or maybe even if it's just Maokai. Still a little bit light on the tankiness here for Concordia. If you look over across the board on RMU, they got tons of tanks. Even Morgana kind of counts as a tank because of the additional magic resistance or the spell shield that she has. So you kind of want to run Morgana in for that big soul shackles, and you get Lee Sin to kick people so that they can't get out of the soul shackles. You got Poppy, who's realistically not going to die to too much this game, and it's looking good for RMU. Big fan of Nubsy as well. He's got a guy that we've seen both somewhat in the amateur scene, but also here on RMU's B Squad. It's going to be a very well-rounded lineup, but question mark for me is going to be that Xerath. If he comes out big, it's great, but traditionally Xerath takes 2.5, maybe 3 items to really start getting into his own, and I'm not sure if he's going to be allowed to get there with this somewhat interesting Karma pick and some very strong ganks from the Lone Wanderer.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things Concordia may be going for here is maybe not a huge tanky front line, but they have a lot of reset. They have Monsoon, they have Lamb's Despite, not to mention they do have a lot of protection. Giant AoE shield, we just talked about. Karma's shield did get buffed, and when you're building AP Karma, that shield just gets stronger. So they have a lot of protection on the side of Concordia that isn't blatantly up front like a big tank line like a Poppy or even a shifty Lee Sin whenever he starts building tank. It's going to be interesting to see how these team fights go on, but we're going to get into the Rift in about 2 minutes. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors before we do. Twitch.tv, you've been with us for a long time. Thank you for watching and supporting us on and from Twitch.tv. Azus from ROG, main reason why we are going to Austin, Texas, and as they are providing the funding for DreamHack along with the prize pool, so go give them a shout out at Azus_ROG and tell them thank you for sponsoring CSL.
Yeah, absolutely. Big fan of both Asus and Twitch. And of course, our final sponsor, you can see it right up there on the screen, is Brain Gear. If you guys want to get your brain in gear with some awesome supplements, vitamins, everything you could possibly want, go check out Brain Gear. It'll give you a list of every one of the vitamins and supplements that's inside it, how it helps your brain out, and keeps you gaming a little bit smarter. So definitely check them out. Thank them for supporting us, and a big thanks to you all for coming out and supporting us here on this fabulous Saturday afternoon. Could be Sunday, depending on where you are in the world, if you're over in Australia or the like. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for the dedication if you're over in Australia, by the way.
Yeah, man, that's a late night over there. But actually, I think it's 5 a.m., so you could be getting up. Either way, stick around. We got a couple minutes until we get into game number 1. Then we'll have RMU facing off against Concordia here at the Collegiate Star League's round of 16 playoffs. Don't go anywhere. Collegiate Star League's spring round of 16 playoffs. My name is Rapid. With me is Fekez. Of course, all of you wonderful people checking out RMU. On the blue side, they're going to be double jungling, as are their opponents from Concordia over on the right-hand side in the red. So, Fekez, you know, you're going to be breaking down some of the action for us this game. What do you want? What do you see? And you're just like, man, I love watching games like this.
Actually, I mean, once you get high into the high caliber parts of collegiate gaming, you start seeing better strategies, and we're seeing that right now with the double jungle and lane swaps. This is when it gets really exciting to me. And you're not even seeing that big of niche picks either, which I said I do like niche picks. Xerath on Nubsy on Xerath, niche pick for himself, but start seeing more, I guess, meta picks, and that just kind of translates into how they break down just pure strategy, because anybody can play a meta pick, because I mean, obviously meta, you play them. So it all comes down to how you play the map, how you play the strategy. Cynotic, like this, leaving the top lane and trying to get a roam into the mid lane, not really working, but as a result, it looks like Concordia, they're shoving into this bot lane faster than Mikey Moss. So this is what I like to see. I like to see how teams interpret opposing strategies, how the I guess benefits and consequences play out afterward. It's one of my favorite things.
Now, it's a little bit, you know, we've all watched RMU play. They're a big collegiate esports school. They have been for, you know, last year or so with their esports program over there. I was a big fan of Concordia because it just so happens that there is, in fact, a Concordia University in Austin, Texas. I was like, wow, I'm so happy. Well, that is not this Concordia University, so I was a little bit bummed out there, but they are still pretty cool, and you're going to see some pretty cool strategies here, although a little bit different. So we're going to see 4v0s, or in the case of RMU, it's actually a 3v0. A little bit more resources invested on the bottom half of the map. You're going to see DeLone Wanderer is actually going to get some bonus Krugs out of this, whereas on the other jungle side, Freakin' Pope for RMU, he's taking down the Scuttle Crab. Scuttle Crab not very impactful, but it will be if he can sneak around for this gank onto Colear. Oh man, slow, the stun, the Q flashed away from.
Yeah, I had to flash that Sonic Wave. It may have been a kill if he did not have that flash. So RMU, they are deciding to back, but their inner bot turret is down to about half health now, and that's going to be pretty huge because there's no damage done on the side of Concordia's top lane inner turret, and that's where RMU, I feel like they've kind of lost this area. Now it looks like they are trying to get some wave clear in with Mikey Moss. Freakin' Pope also going to the bot lane as well. So now it's 3 strong in the bot lane for Robert Morris University. Hold on. Oh no, in Ganks We Trust, he gets locked down with that Dark Binding. But Silent Reaper's still there with the big shield. Keep everyone safe, and you know, he's a tree, he's still pretty tanky.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me, this comp from Concordia reminds me a little bit of old school Shield comp when you used to run things like Urgot with things like Lulu and Janna. Like, just something never died because there's so many shields. And on here we've got 2 shields already. The question mark for me is where are you going to put them? And I like the shield inclusion with Maokai because that allows you. Oh man, the Q going over the wall. It's first blood.
First blood, yeah, over to Freaking Pope, and he's actually going to dragon as well and safeguard out.
What?
Fantastic play.
RMU's just like, you guys play the game for us. We'll just come in, grab all the good stuff. Wow.
Yeah, who cares about half health on an inner turret now?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the trade-off. So for Concordia, they were going with the better team play option. They're like, hey, let's group up, put our advantage down in the bottom lane, and use that bigger champion number to push a turret. For RMU, they're just like, you know, just body the fool, you know? They used Lee Sin's potential in the mid lane to come around for an early gank that forced out Colear's flash. And then they said, well, you know, we have this flash down in the mid lane. They're going to rotate for objectives as a group because Concordia are playing as a team, and RMU just capitalized on that and said, look, we're going to make the aggressive options and make that work out. Oh, DeLone Wanderer with a nice snipe there on the Scuttle will give her a stack on Kindred's passive. The mark of the Kindred, I believe.
Dark Binding onto Colear in the mid lane, but there's not enough mana or health on Nubsy to really follow up on that one. It was a nice roam by Cynotic, but not enough damage to follow it up.
Now, RMU definitely on the aggressive. They're going to be the ones making the proactive plays here. They've got a lot of things like Dark Bindings, like Xerath to follow up from a long distance. So that's why you should be watching RMU to see where they are going to put up their pressure. Meanwhile, on the other side, it'll be interesting to see which route Kindred goes for here as I make sure to rearrange all of the champions, put them where they're supposed to go. Yeah, because for Kindred, you can either go Warrior Enchant for an earlier power spike that's still pretty effective, but most Kindreds nowadays are actually just playing the long game and going for a Devourer. Ooh, Dark Binding. Not effective on Janna's. I think Janna actually out-traded with the extra AD from the
I
shield.
think so too.
It's like,
Shield from Janna. Shield from Janna actually makes her extremely powerful in the early levels, especially if you're against.
Oh no, minion block!
Turb! Minion block! You took 2 sure turret shots. That shuts down that advance. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't shut down it completely, but that was still not ideal for Turb.
Big knock up there onto Mickey Mouse, and that's why I like casting this RMU rosters, because I remember the first time I said Siver's name, it was like Mikey Moss, and I was like, wait a second, I see what you're trying to do there. So yeah, a little bit questionable there for Poppy, but with a teleport up to the top lane, no real pressure on that champion, just back to clearing waves, and putting minions in the ground up in the top lane. Double Doran's Ring, the start for In Ganks We Trust, which is kind of weird for a Maokai build. Usually you want to go for either like a Corrupting Potion start or just one Doran's into, what was that item that they all used to go to? It was Righteous Glory. You used to see on every single Maokai.
Yeah.
That item got nerfed into the Grizound, and so you don't really see that too much anymore.
Still see Rod of Ages every now and then on a Maokai, but honestly, Maokai hasn't been in the meta for a couple months, so kind of hard to tell how they're going to approach this one. But
he's starting to come back. Got some brief buffs. His saplings now work a little bit better. But while we're watching the bottom lane, we got to watch the mid lane. Oh, going deep for it. Oh, flash out. The red buff's burning. He's going to get it.
Freaking Pope. Oh my god. He knew exactly what he could do there and able to flash out. That was amazing. He barely got out alive and very nicely played by freaking Pope in the mid lane.
Had a little bit of a D-man moment there with my vocal cords, so apologies for that. But man, that play was so good. And I was like, man, freaking Pope, you can't go that deep and not finish off the kill. But he already knew the red buff burn was going to pick up just enough damage. And there you go, finding another kill for RMU. And now with the binding, oh, nice dodge there, but a ton of damage done. Onto In Ganks We Trust. He's going to need to trust in some ganks, but Kindra's all the way on the other side of the map. Just and actually walking away from that weak lane. So unless this Janna can come in and really turn that around, Ganks We Trust might be in a little bit of a rough spot.
And let's go back to that Kindred for one moment. D-Lone Wanderer is at level 6, has Lamb's Respite, so could have a potential tower dive if the opportunity presents itself to be able to keep everyone alive with the Lamb's Respite. But also going to be helping out in these team fights a little bit more. Won't have any dragons stolen away from him as easily as he did get the first dragon stolen away. Freaking Pope has shown up huge in this game. He's already 2 kills. He only 2 kills on RMU and stole the first objective and got out alive. He is being extremely beastly right now on this Lee Sin.
Yeah, coming back out of base, he is going to go for the Warrior Enchant on his Tracker's Knife. No mystery there. I challenge you to find a Lee Sin build, a different jungle item. It's just perfect synergy with everything that he needs. Needs wards for ward jumps, needs armor penetration for his physical damage. Feels good to me. Although I have lost games to AP Lee Sins, but we're not going to talk about that. So Sonotic, man, just barely getting out of there by the skin of his teeth. Another phrase, I have no idea where that comes from. I don't know about your teeth,
I actually used to know that. I used to know that one. And now it's actually escaping me now that you mentioned it. I'll get back to that one.
You had one job.
D-Lone Wanderer getting the more stacks onto his passive. He is going the Devourer route, so he's also stacks onto his Devourer. And I feel like it's a little bit late, so he's going to be maybe taking a little bit longer time to stack that one up. But Dragon will be up in 20 seconds, an opportunity for 5 if he lands that one.
Right, when you go for Devourer Enchant, your real focus is going to be on Dragon. Dragon gives 5 stacks, and is really the difference between just snowballing out of control and having a really slow ramp up. Because if you can get 1 Dragon, much less 2 Dragons, that really just accelerates your item stacking. And it cannot be underemphasized how strong an item spike sating your Devourer is. If you can get like a 18-minute Devourer, you're on track for some really strong participation. But you know, it's not all about this Kindred. We've got other carries, and by other carries, I mean precisely one other carry, and that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be Lee Sin 1 TP. But look at the mid lane. Koliar going in.
Oh yeah, Nubsy, he's not going to be locked down for too long. Cyanotic misses the Dark Binding, so Colair is on the way out. Gets a speed boost from that shield. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Mikey Moth able to take out that bot lane turret. But
Top lane, we got a little bit of action there.
Yeah.
Nice knock up from
They
Turd, but here comes the
here
ace in the
comes
hole.
hole, not enough. There's a flash and another flash by the Turb, and the exhaust goes down, so a lot of summoners being used, but freaking poke just took...
Oh no! Turd gets the kill!
no,
What?
Turb
He
able
walked
to
back
take
in.
out Silent Reaper. There's Dark Binding onto Cleo Wonder, and now Lambs are Spike. Gonna keep him alive just a little bit longer, but not long enough. Turb able to get a double kill out of that one, and now they are on to Lee Sin 1 TP, 1 Dark Binding.
Oh, what?
Enough. There's a flash. I don't know
Sonic?
about flash and a missed Dark Binding, and now Turb on his way onto Lee Sin 1 TP, but able to get the kill onto Cyanotic before going down. In fact, Cyanotic picked that one up, so it actually took the kill away from Turb. So a lot of misjudgment there, Rapid.
Yeah, a few misplays there. Janna walked back into turret when the minions walked away right as the minion wave expired and wound up giving up what would have been an execute, but instead it was a kill to Turb. And then Turb was able to come back in and follow up for yet another kill by knocking Kindred out of her Lamb's Respite. And then after that, the third kill that was supposed to be his was actually taken by Sonotic, who could have lived if he hadn't gotten quite as greedy and by walking close to Caitlyn. Even still, a little bit of craziness up there led to a lot of deaths for Concordia. I'm not sure exactly what's going on up there, but you definitely do not. They fed Lee Sin early. Now Turb's picking up kills, and Poppy, there's no threat to Poppy, keep in mind. Kindred does well against health stacking tanks, and for the most part, even though Poppy does build health, primarily just focuses on tons and tons of resistances, and resistances work very well against percentage damage, because it's a percentage decrease on the percentage damage, which works pretty well, and that's what Kindred does. And Caitlyn has no steroids other than Headshot, which is kind of a steroid, but you wouldn't consider that necessarily much of one because it's very situational. And so is not going to be a real threat to Poppy either. So while she may face some CC struggles from things like Janna and Karma, Poppy is, with those two kills, it's just in an incredibly strong place at this point in the game.
Yeah, and that's how RMU overall are pretty much finding themselves. They're leading in objectives, 2 dragons to 0, 2 turrets to 1 as well, coming up about 2.5k. And now Nubsy catching out. Actually, it was Cyanotic catching out Silent Reaper. This may be a kill, but it does get away. Colair now in trouble. Kicks the flash, kicks him out. Nubsy's Q picks up the kill. Very nicely placed by RMU. And now Silent Reaper going down. Very nicely placed.
Oh my god.
From Zerath as well, calculated by RMU, and now they're going.
Oh, they're going further.
Turret, Hope, following up the Dark Binding out to Caitlyn. Now there's nothing to this turret, but not the minion wave to help out RMU now. They're still going to poke. Oh my god, Lamb's Respite is up, a D-Lone Wanderer. He makes it out alive, just barely.
Yeah, we need to drop some some Dr. Destructoids in chat because Fekez is, I don't know, kind of fading away from this mortal world. You ever felt that urge to shake off your mortal coil, Fekez? That's definitely what it sounded like. So that's why I asked. So we'll see if we can keep Ghostly Robot Fekez on this side of reality while that Dark Binding's so close.
Oh my gosh.
To taking out DeLone Wander. He's going to wander his way back to base, and it still only has 2 marks of the Kindred. That's kind of behind schedule, even off of just neutral creeps. You kind of want to have like maybe 3 to 4 stacks by 15 to 20 minutes. And you also want to get some of those stacks off of killing champions when your team's farther behind. That makes it more difficult to get marks for the Kindred and more difficult to stack up that Devourer. So some vulnerability is starting to emerge here for Concordia.
Yeah, and that Devourer is only 11 stacks right now. Definitely not on course for the schedule I think he wanted early on in this game. And yeah, while that happened, so yeah, RMU was able to take just another turret, so they increased their gold lead, and it's up to 5k now, a little over 5k actually. Dragon is going to be up in 1 minute and 50 seconds. I suspect RMU to contest this one because they have all the power in the world to take it away from Concordia.
Yep, and really, when it comes down to inevitability, who's going to get in a better place as this game draws on, you have to look towards some of the scaling. Kindred, if you get super late, that's going to be a big one for Concordia. But on the other side, we were talking about how many items it usually takes for the carry lineup on RMU to spike. You need maybe like 2.5, 3 items for Xerath. And maybe a couple more items for Sivir. But oh man, here we
Oh
go.
my
1,
God.
2, the dunks coming
You
in.
leave yourself immobile when you use Monsoon.
No.
I see the idea, but hold on, Turb. Nice ultimate from Turb, knocking back D-Lone Wonder, but now in Ganks We Trust is in the top lane. Can they get the kill? Ace in the hole coming out, as well as the flash. It's not able to pick him off. Turb stays alive, and that's what you get when you get a fed Turb in the early going. He has the resistances, like you were mentioning, to counter that sort of gank.
Right. When Poppy gets below 40% health, she gets double her passive resistances. So it went from 14 armor up to 28 armor, and that gave her, I think, upwards of 100. So that was like 160 armor essentially. So pretty huge there. And man, this is Xerath kicking in a little bit ahead of schedule. Dark Binding starting to really land here for RMU, and the poke is just too big. Now I want to see the counter engage potential here. They need Engage We Trust, but instead the insect comes in from freaking poke.
Lands Sprite, just gonna keep him alive a little bit longer. No, he actually gets out. Very nice use by D-Lone Wonder. Flashes out after the Lamb's Respite. Gets that heal. Cyanotic, he may be going down, but he flashes out as well. But there's the flash from.
Oh, Lee Sin.
And now he's in trouble. Nice counter by RMU. They are turning this one back, able to pick up 2 kills. Colaire also fell in the back line due to Freaking-Pope, and Silent Wonder has to flash out, but now he cannot dodge from Nubsy, but thankfully doesn't. This time around. Overall, though, 2 down in favor of RMU. Dragon is up. They think now.
All right, well, as we continue, man, so many skill shots just being thrown out. Silent Reaper's been the recipient of, I think, a couple deaths because of all of those. Picks up her Eye of the Wanderer, Eye of the Watchers, rather. And, man, it's going to need a lot of move speed to move around here. I'm surprised to see no swiftness boots. And really, since the nerfs, you've actually seen a drop-off in swiftness boots. I think that you will inevitably see a lot more of them in this game. The only difference is that, most of Concordia are too poor to afford them. And, man, look at Turb. He's still going. A lot of enemy champions here. Nubsy.
That's not where you want to fight.
Yeah, definitely want to be in the back lines as a Xerath. And he was getting a little up close and personal there.
Yeah, and you have no vision either from RMU in the jungle of Concordia. They were in there blind, and they had 4 members from Concordia in that area of the jungle, so they're Nubsy's lucky they did not decide to just get Twisted Advance onto him, so very nicely played by RMU. Dancing around and knowing that they have the power to intimidate even blindly. Hold on, Cyanotic, Ace in the hole coming out. Not really sure. I think they were trying to catch a more out of that one, but not really.
Caitlyn went for a static shiv first for wave clear, but as a general rule, you never want to go for the attack speed item first on an AD carry that doesn't build something like Runan's Hurricane. And for Caitlyn, you'd almost always want to see, oh man, here we go, Sivir ultimate.
On the hunt is Pop. Cyanotic trying to get into the range for Dark Shackles, but it's very nicely countered by Monsoon. Doesn't matter though. At least in 1 TP, falling in the backline to Mikey Moss. Now RMU, they are cleaning up. No Lamb's Respite popped, and that's a double kill for Nubsy. 4 for nothing right now in favor of RMU. They could go for this Baron in 10 seconds, or just go for this inhibitor, which looks like they're going to go for the inhibitor.
Beautiful CC chaining there. Turb, man, he's been putting up the MVP performance here. Doesn't have the biggest kill score, but perfect CC so that Kindred couldn't pop that ultimate. Probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. And while we have been highlighting Turb, I was maybe a little bit over-eager in estimating the number of items that... Wow, yeah, Nubsy would need, he doesn't need too many items. He's got 1.5 right now, and he's going godlike. Even with the double Dorans to sort of, all in on the early game for itemization, worked out perfectly, and he is putting up a clinic on Xerath, 7-0 and 5. And it always seems to be sort of feast or famine with skill shot champions. Either you land your skill shots and it's super broken because you have such long range on those, or they just dodge all your skill shots and you actually deal 0 damage. But in Nubsy's case, he's definitely landing them, and you can really see that to a very graphic effect.
Yeah, and RMU have complete control of this game. They took a mid lane inhibitor. They are pretty much just waiting this game out to group. for something huge. And it could be a Baron, it could be another inhibitor, as the inhibitor turret on the bot side, it's the only one left standing in between that inhibitor. So RMU, they have their choice of objectives here, and Ace in the Hole coming out again. Lee Sin 1TP, he likes to throw those out onto Cynotic. Not really sure why, but he's I guess it's an intimidation factor. But like you said, when you build Static Shiv first, you don't get the power behind that Ace in the Hole.
Yeah, attack speed does not a whole lot for Caitlyn. And Caitlyn is sort of the antithesis of champions like Jhin, who has a very... Oh, man. Oh, look at that flash. I think she would have been okay.
She flashed it when it was going by.
Here comes the Zerathal. Oh, my gosh. Look at the power behind that.
Gosh.
Completed Luden's Echo, really putting in the work.
Yeah, so much power coming out from Nuzzy. 7-0-5. We haven't even... I mean, that's the thing. RMU has been dominated all around across the board. We haven't even focused on KDAs because almost everyone is pretty impressive right now. The only one who... Surprisingly, Mikey Mouse, he's the only one who hasn't gotten an extraordinary amount of kills, who is a carry. 107. He's actually playing support ADC, which is kind of what Severe does with On the Hunt, so it makes sense, but only able to get 1 kill in 22 minutes out of 16 kills for RMU. 16 kills to 1. Let's point that out too. That's pretty huge. A huge difference right now.
And RMU are just not, they're not letting up the pressure. I would say that they were angry, but instead I'm just going to say they're a little perturbed as they continue to push up the top lane. Ironically enough, Turb not even there. He's bottom lane, has his teleport on cooldown, so he won't be able to teleport up there to help out. So maybe that's a reaction that Concordia can capitalize on. But for now, really feeling the struggle of getting a scaling aggressive jungler. Very little wave clear aside from Karma, and this is going to be a very difficult turret to defend. Look at those Arcano pulses. Lee Sin 1 TP, man. He's got to get out of there.
And that's the thing too. RMU has a great siege comp considering all the wave clear they have and the massive amount of poke, and not to mention catch from Cynotic. So RMU's in a position right now, if he only has 1 Dark Binding, freaking Pope could go in and pretty much decimate anyone he wants to right now. So
well, the problem with Dark Bindings is you're getting a Xerath ulted there.
Yeah, that too.
You can see he's thinking about it. Nubsy's sitting back and might just ult here from the back. He's very low on mana though, so he's going to need to watch out for running out. He needs to auto attack something and get that Xerath passive online.
That was actually a really nice play by Lee Sin. We'll get to that in a second. Turb is actually in the mix now as well. It's a 5v5. He's charging up his ultimate, gonna knock 2 members back. It's only to, I guess, it's just for fun, really. I don't know. He really didn't have to do that.
It was just a prank.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the defense on the base itself will be good enough, and they will actually Concordia will save their upper inhibitor, so at least that's something that went well for them. Their middle inhibitor is about halfway done respawning, so it's got about 3 minutes or so, call it 2.5, before that comes up, and that will be something that will be I don't know, a breath of fresh air. You got to look for every little advantage you can find here if you are Concordia. They've got a scaling jungler, like I said, that is not really kicked into high gear. As far as skirmisher sabers go, let's go ahead and check out DeLone Wanderer. Still only 3 stacks of Mark of the Kindred and 17 on that skirmisher saber. This, by the way, guys, is why you used to not see very many skirmisher sabers on Kindred, just because it took way too long to stack and you just kind of got run over. You'd much rather have the power behind a warrior enchant so that the armor penetration could help out your percent health damage. It's definitely a good way to go just to get that earlier power spike. So I'm not going to harp on that anymore. All that to say, the Concordia, they've got a lot of damage threats, but when you're this far behind, none of that really works. And so it's going to be all about maybe dodging Xerath ults, forcing Poppy to over-engage. And if you can get a nice like Janna ult, maybe push Lee Sin into a spot he doesn't want to be and take him out early, the 5v4 should still be a situation Concordia can win. They just have to find that, and it's not going to be easy.
Mid lane and top lane inhibitor are exposed for RMU, or I guess for Concordia. It's for RMU to exploit. They want to have a little bit of a split push coming out. 2-1-2 it seems like, as Turb hanging around in the middle lane, if the bot lane of RMU going to the top end. Freaking Pope and Nubsy taking out the blue buff of Concordia right now, because they have complete control of the jungle. Why not take the buffs while you're at it? But it looks like they are going to rendezvous with their team as they make their way to the top lane, cutting across through the mid lane and actually deciding possibly to go to that mid lane inhibitor. Looks like Nubsy is going to cut off that way.
Infinity Edge is finally completed there for Lee Sin 1 TP, but
Yeah.
really, you're not going to see too much damage from Caitlyn outside of damaging squishy targets before she gets like Lord Dominic's Regard, which is definitely a must-have for Poppy because of all the bonus armor. Lee Sin, for some reason, has a Sunfire Cape. I don't know if I've ever seen a Lee Sin build a Sunfire Cape, but
Well, to
nice.
do more damage.
Yeah, okay, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, nice Monsoon. That's that defense.
Nice Monsoon and a nice flash coming out from Lee Sin. Here comes the Rift of the Arcane, and only one of us is going to land on Lee Sin 1 TP, but damage done, and now the top lane inhibitor is exposed after the mid lane inhibitor goes down. So RMU, they're shoving in possibly for a win. Here comes a big shield and speed boost from Karma. Are they able to do anything off this one?
My
Yes,
gosh.
they are, and that is sacrifice Colair for the betterment of the future. I don't know what that future is. I hope Concordia knows, because Colair goes down in a sacrificial, I guess, style there.
I don't know.
I'm trying to give the credit here. Engage just going down.
Oh, the alley-oop! Wow, that was on point. We got that team synergy going down. Apologies to headphone users out there, but we got all 3 inhibitors down. 5 alive here for RMU, and they are pushing in for the win.
Dark Binding lands on not up that Clone Thunder has to last out of danger there, but they've done again. First game, RMU as they take down the next turret and next.
All right, well, while we figure out what Fekes may or may not have said during that, we're going to go into game number 2. Congratulations to RMU for grabbing a Game 1 victory over Concordia. But we're not done yet, guys. Make sure to stick around. We've got Game 2 of this best of 3 round of 16 matchup coming your way here in just a second, so you're not going to want to miss that. Stick around. We'll be right back with Game number 2.